When all you can identify in the horizon for many long days is the line that detaches the sea from the sky, the glimpse of a distant shore appearing before you will make you shiver at the understanding that the adventure is about to begin. You find yourself astonished, landing on the shore that will be the origin of an extensive exploration through the Galapagos, a magic place of inconceivable beauty and endless biodiversity. And also beautiful, Esteban. His long flowing hair and sun-kissed cheeks, his open white ruffled shirt showing just a glimpse of chest hair. Sorry, I'm getting off into my... I was just writing a romance novel for a minute there. There you will gather repertoires and expand your knowledge of the natural sciences. Your eyes will learn how to detect the hidden species in the tropical forest, gazing at the countless colors and textures of nature, and gazing at Esteban, the beautiful Spaniard who captains your ship, the Beagle. You want me to keep going? After inspiring hours spent studying and getting to enlightening conclusions, you will rest under a sparkling sky, admiring the stunning complexity of the animal realm, hand in hand with Esteban.
Today on the board, boys.
Darwin's Journey.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Board Boys Podcast, Season 12, Episode 10. Tonight on the docket, Darwin's Journey from Thundergriff Games, and also a small novella by Campbell named TBD.
Darwin's Journey. The story of Monica and Esteban.
From Milan to Minsk.
But then where's Darwin in this scenario?
He's the narrator.
Oh, all right. This is your board boy, Rob.
It's your boy TK.
This is your board boy, Esteban. A.K.A. Boinker McDoinker, a.k.a. Los Dos.
All right, let's get this out of the way. Campbell says he has a new segment for the podcast.
It's just a one. It's just going to be a one-off.
Let's rip it off the bat.
And you know what? I've been saving up a song, and so this segment is called "Standing in My Truth," and it's going to be I'm going to stand in my truth, and you guys, and also listeners, can comment on whether or not I'm justified for standing in my truth or not. So the song for this segment goes like this. I'm just a man who's standing in my truth. That's the song.
Excellent.
So
it's short and sweet.
Yeah, it's a good song. I've been saving that one up for a while.
So we can determine whether you should be beefing with someone.
No, it's okay. So.
Or they should be beefing with you over this?
So Reddit has a very famous subreddit called ATIA, Am I the A-hole? And where people, and it's a really kind of, like, Reddit's just lame now because, like, it just is not what it used to be. And no social media really is, right? Because it used to be, like, kind of the Wild West, and for people, if you know type people. And now social media just permeates everything, and it's just, like, everybody just, it's really clicky and, like, the stuff that gets views is usually not really the good stuff. Anyway, so now it's just a bunch of people making things up. But this is a true story, and I would like feedback on whether or not I was justified in requesting a full ticket reimbursement for what happened on this flight. So, went to a wedding in New York City. I'm just requesting one leg of the trip back. So 2 tickets. Round trip, I want 1 ticket, one way back. Okay? So my wife and I book adjacent seats. She likes to sit by the window. I don't care where I sit. So I go middle, she goes window. When you book, so you used to book planes and you used to be able to pick your seat. There used to be like 3 boarding groups. And then when...
Who are you flying, by the way?
American.
Okay.
And I'll fly American, Delta, United, Southwest. I don't really care. They're all kind of the same to me. And just so whatever ticket fits best for the time and the money, I usually go with. But that a lot of times for the flights we take, that ends up being American or Delta just based on the places we go. Really routine thing. We fly a few times a year. We're getting on our first flight back to Des Moines, leaving Newark Airport, which I've never had a problem at before. And I want to stress I've never, ever had a seating problem or a service problem that went beyond, you know? Usually it's like, this is just fine, or like, you know, but like a one-off thing, you know? Like, I'm not going to say anything. We get to the gate, we scan our tickets, we're sitting in 29E and F. The lady at the gate goes, oh yeah, we changed your seats, you're at 22E and you're at 29E. So 7 rows apart, and both in middle seats. Now, my first thought is like, well, maybe they needed to sit a family together. And I was like, wait, we're both in middle seats. So no, they just put somebody else in Deanna's seat for no reason. Maybe it was a computer thing. Maybe somebody said, can I sit by the window? You know, who knows? So we're right there at the gate. The plane's, 2/3 boarded.
By the way, it's because someone paid money.
Well, we paid money to choose our seats.
Right. Someone paid more money with more priority.
Well, I don't care. I paid money to choose the seats, and I didn't.
You're just, yeah.
I don't think anybody told me that they could bump me, right? So this wouldn't be a big deal in and of itself, right? But I asked the lady, like, oh, hey, well, we, paid for those seats. We paid extra to book them. It was probably an extra $100, round trip per person to choose the seats 4 times. So what's up with that? And she's like, I don't care. You just got to sit there. I was like, all right, well, that was rude. And I don't think she said I don't care, but she was, she was surly. So I'm like, all right, well, we walked down the hall, and I'm like, Deanna, I think I can get all the money back for the, what we paid for picking our seats for this. And I'll probably just, send an email later. But maybe I won't even, So we get on the plane, and I go, okay, well, why don't you go get in 22E, and then I'll walk back and get in 29. So we get there, and there's a lady sitting in 22E with her daughter. And I go, hey, I'm sorry, we have this seat. We can go sit where you were. No big deal. But she's like, yeah, I'm in this seat. And she shows us the ticket. It's like, okay, well, I'll figure out where you're supposed to be because her ticket says 22E on it also. So I drop Deanna off and I go back and I talk to this flight attendant. And the lady's like, okay, I'll take care of it. So she kind of stomps over there. And I'm like, well, I don't really want to, displace her because it looks like she's sitting with her daughter. And she's like, shh, kind of shushes me. And so she goes over and is like, hey, ma'am, can I help you? And you're in this guy's seat. The woman shows the ticket and it has my wife's name on it. So they printed her the wrong ticket with my wife's name on it, which is disconcerting.
Oops.
And so I'm like, okay, well, can we just figure out where she was supposed to sit and I'll just sit there? And the stewardess is like, yeah. Just
wow.
Puts her hand in my face. And I'm like, okay, I'm just trying to make this easier. And she's like, sir, we'll get it taken care of. Okay. So I don't want to get air marshaled. So I go, okay, well, I'll just be back here. You can do whatever you want and just tell me where to sit.
And you're on the plane at this point.
And I'm on the plane at this point.
Okay.
So then it takes 10 minutes and everybody's just sitting there waiting for the plane to go off. And I'm just standing in the back of the plane with my backpack on like a dork. And they finally get the thing done. And I go sit down. They put me in a different seat and it's all good. And I'm like, okay, I don't really like the way those people treated me. I think I'm for sure going to ask for the money back on the, what we paid. And I might even leave a comment. So then we get off the plane and I'm like, hey, I think I got a situation that I might want to talk to one of the guys in the purple jacket or whatever. And so the guy calls a manager over and I explain and he's pretty nice. And he's like, yeah, you got to send a complaint. And I'm just getting ready to do this. And Deanna's like, hey, while we were on the flight, the guy bringing drinks asked me what I wanted to drink, and I said, can I have a Coke, please? And he said, okay, here's a water. And she goes, no, I asked for Coke, and he didn't say anything and gave me a water. And I'm like, all right, I'm asking for the full ticket back. Am I justified in that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it sounded like it sucked.
You mean the whole ticket or just the upgrade?
No, I'm asking for what I put in there was I said, I'd really like to get the upgraded seat price back because I didn't get the seat I wanted, but I think that the consideration of the full price of the one-way for one ticket would go a long way in me choosing American again if I can choose any other airline.
I'd be curious to hear what you say, or I'd be curious to hear what you get back from that. And I know airlines are totally pulling back on everything. You can buy 3 levels of tickets mostly.
Yeah.
And maybe it's just because I have an American Airlines card, so I just always can pick my seats and it doesn't cost me extra. But it's insane to me that you paid like I fly American a lot. It's the main one I fly, and there had to been some weird thing that happened. Like if you bought those seats, you bought them.
Yeah. Well, and I
No,
wonder.
no one else could buy them over you.
Right.
And it wasn't like they were like super special seats or anything.
So I'm
either.
guessing that it's probably either a computer issue or like the person at the gate. Like, so the woman who was at the gate, I had to talk to her one other time because they're like, "This flight's full. You can check your bags, your carry-ons to the final destination." So I went up there and was like, "Yeah, we can do this. I don't, And she was like, "Okay, sir, like, can I get your name and your seat number?" And I'm like, "Yeah, 29F or whatever, D'Souza." And she's like, "Yeah, I don't have that." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's 29F, and my last name's D'Souza." And she's like, "Okay, I got it."
Usually they will not check when you have to check your bag at the gate
Mhm.
for overhead reasons or whatever. They will do it with your boarding pass.
I know. And I handed her my boarding pass. She's like,
Oh, okay.
"Seat number, please."
It's on the boarding pass.
It's on the boarding.
Yeah.
Yeah. And here's the thing: I've flown through Newark before and never had surly.
Mhm.
I've never been on an airplane where more than one person was a little snippy. I've never gone up to I feel like enough people are in a bad mood at airports where if you go up and you go, "Hi, how are you?" then they're like, "I'll give this person whatever
They want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've never had somebody who didn't hook me up at an airport.
Yeah. So I fly Southwest. There's no seats. Like literally none of this stuff ever happens. You just walk in the plane and sit down.
Super funny Southwest
Oh, I
story.
should fly Southwest more.
We were flying back from San Diego on Southwest, and there was a family with some small kids, and they get to board first. And if you've never flown Southwest,
Between A and B.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Before
So there's
anyway,
60 people that board before them.
so it's A, then there's B, and then there's C.
Yeah.
And I forget what they always joke about if you have C. Something about like there's only middle seats.
Middle seats. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the last 30 on the plane.
Yeah, you know what seats
Yeah.
or C means?
I haven't flown Southwest in years because Southwest doesn't go to Peru.
Right.
And
It doesn't go international.
Anyway, I like flying Southwest. Anyway, this family, there was probably 8 of them.
Ugh.
And they were all trying to get on with the 2 kids, and they all were pretending like they couldn't speak English. And I heard them talking to each other in English, and they were just acting totally confused and all trying to get on together. And the guy's like, "Only 2 of you can go on with the kids." And he told them that like 12 times, and they still kept trying to get on. And then like they finally quit and went to the back, and like everyone just cheered. And I don't know, it was
Yeah.
like people just trying to abuse the system.
I mean, as a solo traveler, for the most part, Southwest has been pretty nice. It's just like I get on, sit wherever I want, usually an aisle seat. I'm usually in somewhere in the lower A's or B's, and off I go.
Man, and even I walk on a lot of times in the B's, and you can still get like an exit row there
for
because
sure.
people don't want it, or like a lot of times the stewardesses or stewards are like standing there.
Yeah.
But like if you just ask them to move, they'll move, and then you just pop down. I love Southwest.
So, guys, you got to listen to the Board Boys podcast, but we're talking about boarding planes. And
Dude, there's got to be a Euro game in there somewhere
about seating planes.
Yeah.
And putting people's bags in the overhead.
Yeah.
I will say there's
that could be like a polyomino game.
Yeah, like boarding the plane. Well, there is a really interesting YouTube video I watched by I think it's like the guy's name is like CCP Gray or something like that. He's a really famous YouTuber, and I can't remember his name. It's something Gray, like a couple letters in gray. Just if you're interested in learning about like airline boarding, he has a great video on like the optimal way to board planes and how it would never work in real life. And the way they do it now is like 60% worse than if you just let everybody get on at once.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, no, I don't disagree with that. I think about that all the time where I'm like, why are you not loading the plane from the back to the front? And
so that's better than front to back.
Yeah, the back to the front, and then everyone that is in the window should be getting in first.
Like with the computers we have, like basically what he laid out is the optimal way is essentially you send in like the back seat, the third like 2/3 of the way back, and like a front, and like they all go in, and then like nobody's fighting with each other, like put their stuff up. They send in, so like you sit a person in the back, a person 3/4 of the way back, and then like you alternate what side of the plane they get on, and so everybody just has their boarding number. You queue up from like 1 to 100, and you just all get on, and like the plane would board in like 5 minutes.
That makes sense. I mean, because you're constantly getting on there, and
It makes it tough with like kids and
people
stuff like
have
that,
to
though.
people have to move or get up or get down, and I mean,
But if you did it that way, then people wouldn't have to because you sit, you board them window
Yeah.
to aisle.
I mean that's why Southwest works pretty well because you get on and you just sit
Sit down,
somewhere.
yeah.
And in general, that tends to shake out. It gets on pretty quick.
I actually don't think the sitting is the hardest part. It's the not having enough room in the overhead bins for everybody's stuff that takes forever
It can for
for
sure.
things to work out.
Well, realistically, what takes forever is people who AP getting on a plane, and it's like there's a lot of people who just like.
So wait, do you AP getting on a plane?
No, I do. I
Okay,
do not. If like in real life of board gaming, I barely AP. Like I'm a long, fast player. I'm probably in the upper 5% of quickness in board games. You don't think so, bro? Think about like playing with the average person, the average gamer. Will sit there and quibble for hours on any game. People will constantly post about how Underwater Cities took them half the day. But I try to be very conscious of other people's space and time out in the world, and people getting on planes just don't do that. They'll have like a backpack that goes like 3 feet out, and they'll just spin in a 360 and hit everybody.
Anyway, I would love to hear what you hear back from them
Yeah, I'll
because I mean it very well might be nothing, but
I would be shocked if you got a reply.
yeah, I mean you should have tried to settle that right then and there.
Oh, no, I did. I went to the manager and I said, "Hey, we need to take care of this." And he goes, "I'm sorry, we can't do anything at this level. You got to take it to this."
Yeah.
And so what I might do is if I don't get a reply, because I did get like an automated that said, "Hey, we'll get back to you within 7 to 10 business days." But if I don't get something back, I might just walk down to, or I might just drive down to the airport and be like, "Yo, like I'm not leaving until."
We just need like 200,000 or 300,000 downloads on this podcast.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
tweet it
I
everywhere.
I mean, you definitely should get your money back because you didn't get the seats you paid
I
for.
think they'll give me that
that's
for sure.
That's ridiculous.
I think they'll give me that for sure.
I'm really confused as to what even happened there, but
But yeah. And again, I tried to tell that as not my perspective, but the truth as possible. Like I think I could have ribbed them a little harder when I was telling that story, but I would just wanted to be completely straight. I wanted to be straight up. Anyway, that's what I've been playing this week.
well, let's talk about another game where you're trying to put your tiles in the right spots to make your house all feng shui, and that game is Bamboo from Jermaine P. Milan. Artist is
Oh, I like
Jonathan
Jermaine P.
Cantero,
Milan.
and publisher is DeVere. This is in the Silk / oh my gosh, what's the game we reviewed?
Bitoku?
Bitoku, thank you. Bamboo, it's in that whole world, and basically,
Oh yeah, we all played this.
it's been a hot minute since we
Yeah.
played it. I don't think we talked about it on the podcast, but it's a pretty small box game with a lot of thinking, and really you're just trying to align your home to be in balance and meet these objective tiles, and you do that by trying to grow the bamboo in a certain way, and you're pushing bamboo out and getting to do actions, and you're trying to get the favor and an area control kind of thing with these incense sticks. And I'm not sure it hit really hard for us, but I'd like to play it again. I think it falls into that category of a lot of game in a small box, and you get a lot of bang for your buck there, especially if you like kind of like objective completing tile laying type games. It's kind of where I'm at with it.
It was way thinkier than looking at the box.
Yeah.
Like the box is what, like 8x4 or something. It's very small.
Yeah, I got it literally just because it's by the Bitoku dude,
Yeah.
and it's like very similar thematically, and the components were nice in it,
Mhm.
and I liked it. I haven't not given it a rating yet. I've only played it once, so I'm gonna play it a couple more times first, and maybe I'll come back with my final thoughts on it.
Cam's thoughts? Not bad. 2 boings.
2 boings. The other one I finally got to play. I know we talked about it last time, but Akropolis from Gigamic Games. The designer is Jules Massad. An artist is Pauline Detraz. This might be the game that I thought I might hate that I liked the most in 2023 so far. I'm not going to go over it because you can go listen to the last podcast about, how you play it, but it's essentially tile drafting, tile laying game. You can stack tiles on top of the other tiles. I believe we called we did talk about it because I called them Chodem balls.
Yep. Yep.
Well. I wasn't fast enough to edit that out. Hey, sorry, everyone. Rob shouldn't have said that.
Just to be clear, you have not edited it yet.
Well, I probably still missed it.
As far as I know, Campbell still has not beaten Tim.
Yeah,
I have not beaten Tim.
I am top 10 in
Top
the
10
world
Tim.
on BGA just strictly by beating Cam.
Straight
about
up.
But
70
this is
times.
a 20-minute game that you could play with anybody. I've been meaning to take it to work to teach it to those people because I think they'll love it. Man, if you're looking for like a family weight, quick tile laying game, you can't beat this thing. It's fantastic. And I thought I was gonna hate the decisions of like you can either build your tableau out or you can start stacking on top of things. But when you stack on top of things, you lose scoring because you cover them up unless you're covering up the rock quarries, and that's how you get the rocks to buy more tiles, etc., etc. It wasn't as bad as I thought.
I want to like Llama Land better because I like the theme better.
Yeah, I really like
And-
Llama Land a lot.
And I'm really good at Llama Land. Like I win every time I play it. But if I'm being honest, Akropolis is a much better pick for the type of people who would play Llama Land or Akropolis.
Akropolis feels like
I mean, this plays like in half the time.
Yeah.
Half the
Llama
time,
Land.
there's
And-
like
and it
one.
sets-
There's one rule basically.
Yeah.
and there's almost no setup.
yeah, and Llama Land is complex. You can make it less complex, but why am I saying less complex? I don't say that word well. I don't think complex.
Akropolis is a hard 3 points for me.
Very nice.
Yeah.
We have any more games you want to talk about here?
I did spend a lot of time standing in my truth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I just have one TV show I'd like to talk about, and it is called
The Box Boys.
it is called Silo, and it is on Apple TV, and it is pretty great so far. I think there's 4 episodes. Here's the quick hook. People are living in this silo underground. It's like 100 levels.
It's from a book, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
It makes me want to read this book. I don't know how much different it is. I know nothing about the book, but there's kind of a hierarchy as far as like where you live in the silo a little bit.
The book's called Wool, and there's 3 of them.
Oh, it's something different.
It's Wool. Yeah.
Okay.
The Silo series is what it is.
Okay. And essentially no one knows why they're there or what happened or why they can't go outside or who built the silo. They just know they've been in there for hundreds of years, and a few hundred years ago there was some kind of uprising and like all their documentation of what is just gone. It's like their history's gone, and there's one like the main rule is if you say you want to go outside, they send you outside and you die because the air is supposedly poisonous. But people think there's something going on.
You don't actually die.
Well, I mean, in the first episode, they make it apparently clear that they think that somebody thinks it's safe outside, but you can clearly see them dying outside on the video screen. But are they really dead? I don't know.
So is the series done? Did the writer finish the books?
My guess is I actually don't know. I'm looking up right now. My guess is it was done. They made it into a TV show, so it might not be done.
Because here's the thing. This
Like,
sounds
'cause-
really cool, but I'm worried it'd be like Lost, where it's really interesting for a season, and then it just gets dopier and dopier every season.
I believe the trilogy finishes, like wraps it up or whatever, but I think there's actually other books. It looks like there's a 3.5 and stuff like that. So I heard the books are excellent, like very, very good.
Okay. I think I'm going to watch the whole first season, and then maybe I'll think about reading the books.
Did you guys ever watch that Spanish movie, The Hole, about the prison that's 100 floors or
Yes.
something like that? That movie's awesome.
Are you talking they drop the food tray down the
Yeah,
middle?
They put a food tray down the middle.
Yeah, like the top levels get to eat really good, and the bottom.
I think there's like 100 floors, but it turns out there's like 150 floors, and still nobody knows like who built it and why. And
Well, they're in like a prison.
But it's like a or not. Still, nobody knows like all the like who like all the way it works. Like
Well, because they'll just like you'll get like knocked out one day and like you'll end up on a different level for some reason, right?
so the whole thing is like a social experiment, but it's like I don't know. It's a very philosophical movie. I don't know if it's actually good philosophy, but it's like like I like kind of the duality of like. Like it's kind of cool they have this egalitarian system, but like at the same time, it's like, it's trying to teach people that like if you're all the way at the bottom, like you can't get as much, but like it's also really brutal, and I don't know. I thought it was really interesting.
Realistically, that thing would work if if everyone just would take a little bit, but the people
and that's what they're trying to
ridiculous.
teach, and like that, like. It was a little heavy-handed, but I just liked the actors in it, and I thought it was spooky, you know?
So the silo is not that heavy-handed, and, like, I don't really feel like... There are definitely, like... They refer to them as, like... I forget. Like the bottom people, or the toppers is a thing. But it doesn't really seem like there's that big of a disparity between who's who and who's what. Like, unless you're the mayor, or, like, the sheriff is a really big job... then there's this really weird judicial person group that they seem like the sketchy group in the whole thing that may know what's kind of going on, but maybe they're secretly running things behind the scenes. I don't know.
What's it on? Is it HBO?
It's Apple TV.
Apple TV.
Apple TV's got some kickers, man.
Yeah, it's got a lot of good stuff. It had Foundation, which I thought was good.
Did you read the books?
No, I haven't. I've heard Jared told me he was reading the books, and they're not as good.
As the TV show?
Yeah.
I haven't watched TV show. Books are good.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I just think Isaac Asimov. I mean, it's probably like you have to like dig.
It's like
old crudgy sci-fi.
Will this be the first episode of the Board Boys where we talk less about board games per minute than other
maybe.
stuff?
I think we have a lot to say about Darwin's Journey.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about Darwin's Journey.
Yeah, this is gonna be a long review. Buckle up, buckaroos.
Darwin's Journey is by Simone Luciani, Nestor Mangione. Artist is Paolo Voto. Publisher is Thundergriff Games. It is currently 649th overall. Strategy 311. Although, I mean, that's pretty insane seeing as how it's only been out in the wild for like a couple of months.
Yeah, but
and not even in retail yet.
It was on Tabletop Simulator and stuff. They released all that stuff during the Kickstarter.
That's
right?
true. Like
yeah.
it's been
It's
playable
around,
for
yeah.
a long time. It is currently 8.2 on BGG. Says it released this year. You retrace Darwin's journey to the Galapagos in a worker placement adventure with Esteban. I added that last part.
Thank you.
1 to 4 players. Best at 3, they say. 60 to 120 minutes. Age is 14 plus. Weight is 3.82 out of 5. I'll hit us up with what we do in Darwin's Journey. Essentially, it is a worker placement game where all your workers have different strengths depending on how many seals they have on that you've purchased from the board. You can go to different areas on the board to either walk your guy around and explore, or move your boat and explore, or write letters home, and there's like a little area control deal at the end of every round to get some bonuses. Or you can go get some more seals to improve your workers. The kicker is your workers have to have certain seals on them to be able to do certain actions or do more powerful actions. There's a lot of variability in the game, lots of different tiles. There's a whole book section where you can have 6 different new tiles every game that have 6 different actions. And then there's also a section where you can add new lenses and unlock more actions in the game. Not all the actions start unlocked. You can unlock more of them by placing your little lens, and then other people or you can use those workers to go to those spaces. If other people go to your space, you get $1. There's 3 different kinds of lenses. There's ones where only one person can go. There's ones where multiple people can go. And then there's these square ones where multiple people can go and you don't have to pay the extra money that you normally would do. You're completing objectives on cards and on tiles. You're placing campsites to get points. You're trying to wombo into some combo. There's a lot going on in Darwin's Journey. I'd say let's get to the table and we'll come back with our thoughts.
Chociaż lat już minęło tyle, wraca cień smutku tamtej chwili. Odejdź już, tak szepnęła cicho indiańska dziewczyna. O Obcy ląd zniszczy moją przyszłość. Nigdy już na ten brzeg nie przychodź. Przyjaźń twą chciałabym czasami wśród nocy wspominać. Galapagos, Galapagos, żółwie wyspy wśród mgły, oceanu rytm. Galapagos, Galapagos, niech prowadzi mnie tam dobry los. La, 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 la.
All right, we're back. Campbell, Darwin's Journey. Initial thoughts? What do you think?
Yeah. I love these designers, so I was completely cranked up to play this game. I mean, totally could barely contain my excitement. When Rob was teaching, I was like sitting there just vibrating lightly, you know what I mean? So that's not always a good place to start something because, you know, when you go in with expectations that are so high.
There's only one way to go.
I mean,
It's down.
You can think something's going to be incredible and like it even more. I think that's happening right now with this new Zelda game for a lot of people, right? But name any other game that people get excited for and it actually is good. But the problem is most video games and board games and stuff or whatever, anything you're like, oh, this is going to be incredible, Indiana Jones 5, but it actually really sucks, Indiana Jones 5. Not out yet, but I can just tell you right now. Go watch it and see if I'm wrong.
I mean, I'm gonna go watch it anyway.
I know you're gonna go watch it.
And I'm gonna be sad.
And you know what? You're gonna hate it. You're better off not knowing.
I didn't know there was a 4.
Here's the thing. Everyone hated. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm like the worst movie critic. I just have fun at movies generally.
You're the Campbell of movies. Everything's a 2.
Oh yeah, everything's a 2.
Everything's a 2.
Yeah, I mean, like, I thought Crystal Skull was okay. I don't know. It was.
Check it out.
It filled my Indiana Jones void.
I didn't hate Crystal Skull, and I'm not a really strong movie critic. I can just tell that this one is gonna be.
I mean, it's getting some stinker reviews so far.
It's gonna be like dog diarrhea that you step in.
Oh no.
That's what I think about it.
I mean, Harrison Ford looks like
dude is like
move.
85.
Yeah.
And like the whole movie is going to be about him getting chided by his niece or whatever for cultural appropriation or something like that, like stealing from indigenous peoples. It's like I understand completely if culture has shifted to where like these kind of stories aren't cool, but like to go rip on everybody's famous action hero when he's 80, it just seems like a bad move. So
I mean, I'm pretty stoked. Like, I hadn't really thought about Harrison Ford for a long time, but to plug another Apple TV show, Shrinking is on there, and it has Harrison Ford and Jason Segel in it. And if you want to see Harrison Ford be super funny, watch that show.
I bet he is really funny.
He plays like old curmudgeon therapist dude.
Do you remember in the 90s when
He's
Harrison
super
Ford
funny.
got that mustache and earring?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was trying to look like Michael Jordan. Anyway, this game is fun, and I feel good about it, but there's a lot of pros and a lot of cons.
Excellent.
That's my initial thought.
So my initial thought was, Luciani game on Kickstarter, I'm in. Segue 2 years later, hey, it finally arrived. I thought I was going to get to play this at BGG-Con 2 years ago. It didn't happen. And then this year, it didn't happen. And at some point, it was on Tabletop Simulator, and I printed out the cheat sheets. And I was like, I'm going to learn this game. And I'm like, this seems like so much. I'm not touching this with Tabletop Simulator. So I didn't get to mess with it. I finally got it, and like I got the Kickstarter edition, and the production's great. And I don't know. We'll talk about pros and cons here. I guess my initial thoughts were I was stoked to play it when I finally got it.
You gonna talk about a movie right now or what? Like, should we bring up another movie?
I mean, I can.
You guys ever seen Alien?
Yeah. So for me, I think it's pretty pretty close to similar vibes. I don't follow a lot of Kickstarter stuff, but I did hear about this one. I think it's probably because it's Simone Luciani, and we all enjoy his games quite a bit. And when you said, "Hey, I got it, it's coming in," I was pretty excited to play it. So excited enough to go learn the rules and figure out how to play before voyaging on our first journey.
I would like to plug Tim as being the best board game person to play board games with, because
Take that, Cam.
you don't even have to talk to him. Like he comes prepared. I'm like, the thing is, Tim, I really like to teach games, and you take that away from me a little bit,
I apologize.
which is
But
fine.
we can just go.
But we can't just go.
Yeah.
You come prepared. Nobody has to ask you. You just know if it's being played. You already know how to play.
Yeah. Like usually, if you're saying, "Hey, I really want to play this game," I'll go learn the rules and figure it out.
So big plug for Tim, the game learner, independent game learner.
Let's go.
Hey, at least I stay engaged most of the time when you're teaching a game, right? I learn games.
So when Rob was teaching the expansion for Darwin's Journey tonight, Cam actually fell asleep.
That I wouldn't be surprised if that's true. I got like 10 hours of sleep between Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday nights, and it's Tuesday night, so I got a decent amount last night.
Yeah. Who's got a pro?
I mean, the production's off the hook, and I think it's more than just the Kickstarter version. I mean, I think the art is good, probably in all the editions. The Kickstarter specifically, though, I've got like the little rubber things, which some people like, some people don't, and they kind of stick together. But the rubber seals are cool. They're like, I mean, they seem like the real things you'd really stamp, and to seal a real letter. All the different wood pieces. The cardboard's good. The rule book, for as large as it is, like the rule book is an intimidating novella, but only half of it is the actual game because, spoiler alert, there's 1 billion modules in this game, which could be a pro or a con to you, but it has replayability for days.
And there's like a key guide or something that kind of is off to
that
the
little
side.
green, little green thing, and a couple of people have made some really killer player aids on BGG too. So if you want some extra stuff, go out there and look for it. But they did a really good job with their player aids and numbering and labeling everything so you can go find, because this game does have a lot of symbols in it.
And for as many symbols as it does have, I actually think they're pretty good. For the most part, you can figure out exactly what they're talking about if you hadn't seen that combination before. Some of them are very much, I got to go look this one up, but
there's very few of those. Most
Yeah.
of them are, if you understand what this and this means, then you know what the two things together equals.
yeah. All right. So a pro for me, I really like I want to say it's variable worker placement, but where you can take a worker placement action to go unlock more worker placement spots by putting the lenses on.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's quite cool. And when you do unlock them, you get to take the action. So
Even if your worker couldn't do it.
right. So it's a cool way to at the beginning of the game, it costs a lot of money, and money's pretty tight, to get a bigger action going without having a worker that would have those color seals. So if you don't have a green person, a green worker, you could go put a lens there to take that action without having to, go buy a seal for a green worker. So I think it's an interesting system, and it can definitely lead to a lot of the comboing and things like that that's the game is capable of.
I think the worker placement thing is pretty cool. It's unique. If there are many games, I think there's very few games where your workers, you can deck them out in a certain way so they can only go to certain spots. So every worker has, your main 3 workers have the ability to get 6 seals total. And to do the better main actions like exploring, sailing your ship, getting more envelopes, or getting more seals, to be able to do the ones farther down, you need more of that color. So exploring is green, sailing is blue, letters are yellow, and seals are red. And so if you want to make a dude that's really good at getting more seals, then you put more red on him. If you want him to be able to explore, you put more green on him. Then there's the 6 random ones you play with every game that have like a weird mix of seals, like you might need 2 blue and a red. And then on top of that, then you have your 3 characters that you draft at the beginning, where those are kind of objectives and you're trying to fit though. You're trying to basically match their seals to one of your workers that have a seal, and then you get to do their action. I think that's a really cool, unique system.
And when you get, what is it, 4 and 6 seals, you become like a silver certified knowledge worker and a gold certified knowledge worker. So not only do you get to do, say, a 4 action movement, you also get like 2 better rewards depending on there's 1 better reward for silver and 1 better for gold for all the actions that you
and
can
they're
take.
they're different for everyone.
Yep.
So you got to do just juicier stuff with those workers.
There's a ton of combo wombo in this game. There's a little bit of wobble too, so you can sort of complete things you're trying to do in like roundabout ways. So that's always kind of fun when you have. I would say the combo wombo level in this game is like a little too high, but it's always fun to have like waterfalls of actions, and then you get like that wobbly feeling in the mix where you can. There's like 4 or 5 main things you do in the game, and like some of the actions you end up doing all of those actions. You know what I mean? Which is
like clearing them out of.
Yeah, like
their
so,
stuff,
like
yeah.
you could take a boat action that you could like wombo into a walking action, which is some wobble effect, and then you can walk into something that lets you like pick an objective, and then you like complete the objective, and you like get to grab something, which is like a seal maybe, and then like
Or you put a tent down that lets you do a thing that maybe lets you place an envelope that
lets you move your boat.
Yeah, that when you there's lots of things where you after you complete them, you might unlock a ability to do another thing. Like when you complete a stack of envelopes, you get to do an action. When you put a tent down, you get an extra action. You get an extra action when you like cover the tent spot up. When your worker stops walking, you can get an extra action. So the myriad of different combinations and things that you can do after you take your one initial action can be a lot. And keeping track of everything you're doing there can be challenging from time to time.
And I really like games that you can do what you want to do and still achieve something in maybe another avenue of the game that you're not directly working on. Like if I'm going to go, I'm pushing my boat down the track, that does not mean that you're locked out of doing something else, because you can always kind of combo into those items. And instead of being like, oh, I got to take a turn that feels bad with my lowly worker, maybe I could take a bigger one with my other worker to unlock what I wanted to do with the other one. It's quite cool.
And I like how they keep it tight by making you spend money to go to places where people already have workers. I think that's pretty important, because I think you could if that throttle wasn't on the game, then it'd be a little too easy, or you'd be able to kind of run a little wild, I think, at times.
Money is very tight when money is tight, and then you have a ton of money to kind of, but then there's all kinds of stuff that you spend a lot of money on, so it feels very tight, or you're just super rich, which I think is an interesting mechanic. Like either you have a ton or you don't.
Seems like that.
Yeah. And it might be because the way you get money, sometimes you end up getting a lot of it at one time.
It kind of feels like Grand Austria Hotel, where if you get a lot of money at some point in the game, you're not going to worry very much about money for probably most of the rest of the game, unless you're really spending it like crazy. But if you get out of money and you run out of stuff you can do without money, you're gonna feel pretty sad for a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, there's some actions that just get you a little bit of money straight off the board that you can do without spending money to go to them. But for the most part, like if you don't have money, you basically can't take any of the main actions.
Yeah, I don't think you can undervalue any action in this game. I mean, the 6 random ones or whatever, because those could vary from game to game and you have no idea what they could be. But you have to walk your guy and you have to sail your ship for sure. You can't not do either of those things, I don't think, and succeed, because you get so much extra stuff from them. Plus, you're trying to walk your guy and sail your ship to discover the animals, because a huge chunk of scoring in this game, which could be up to like a third of your score, is researching the animals and then sending that species to the museum and then getting money and then these books from it. Because at the end of the game, you're going to get a multiplier based on how far your book is on the book track times basically how well you guys have done collaboratively and you can be up to a 6 times multiplier. So like, I think Campbell, what's the max you can score? It was 16 times 6.
16 times 6.
Yeah, and I don't know, what was that?
96 points.
96 points, and you scored.
16 times 6. 96
No,
points.
no.
No, you scored 240.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So that's a huge chunk of your game, and you can't do that research action or that delivery action unless you've already researched. And the easiest way to do that is to walk around and pick those things up. So it's kind of a race almost to do those things. And if you let somebody do all of them, you could have a bit of a runaway leader issue there. And then the seals obviously help you do everything else. So you have to do some seals and you get points for it. But I think the thing that people underrate the most, and I've seen whoever has done the worst in the game has ignored this part, and it's the envelopes. Because if you don't do the envelopes, being first or second and getting some of that extra boost every round. So basically you put your stamps on those envelopes, right? Yeah. And then first place gets to do a thing and second place gets to do a thing, and there's 3 of those out there, and then half of your stamps come off of it. A lot of those are important things. Like if one of them's you get to walk or move your boat or do both, that could also waterfall into some other stuff to let you do more things, right?
Envelopes are good, and they give you good stuff. I think one of the things that I did really well this game was I caught a lot of envelope love. I think this scoring, like the point salad, is pretty good. I feel like Tim and I did kind of different stuff. You kind of do everything in this game, but we got our points kind of in opposite places, and the score was really close. In fact, it really kind of came down to just like one component of one final action I had that got me enough points to get over the top. So I think that's cool. There's a fun, like, just exploration in this game is really reminiscent of Newton, but it feels more thematic than Newton, and it doesn't feel as painful. And I'm comparing Newton for those who haven't played because this is the only other design I know of by these 2 designers specifically.
And the walking your students around and that kind of stuff is all similar to the island.
So Newton is kind of like, this game kind of has a lot of the same stuff that you do as Newton, but the mechanisms of how you get there are pretty different because that's worker placement. And Newton is like action selection with like an engine building. But they have kind of similar concepts, moving your students around a board versus like taking adventures. And there's 2 different boards you can move around. And then there's also like a kind of a thing Luciani likes to do in a lot of his games with the Italian boys is have like master type cards. And that is represented by the cards you get that you're trying to get seals on your explorers, and when you do enough, you get to take a special big action from them. In fact, it kind of even is the staff cards, from Grand Austria Hotel. So Luciani games have a lot of stuff like this. It feels good to go, like when you are the first person, like running across the land and like learning about a new animal type or getting to put your tent down first. Like it makes wanting to get out ahead in exploration interesting. And I think the thing I heard the most griping about tonight, and I wasn't really keyed into what people were talking about last time, but it would make sense, is like if you get behind, there's still plenty of good stuff you can do, but a lot of times the best stuff will be gone.
Yeah,
So.
It felt bad to be behind tonight, and it's the first time that's really happened to me. But the more I think about it, so we played with we can dig into more of this later, but we played with the Firelands expansion tonight, which is kind of the biggest it's the big main expansion. It adds the most stuff. It's got a different side of the board you play with that just adds way more pathways. More islands to walk your guy on, and more you could in the base game you only sail one ship, and in this one you can unlock 2 more ships. And the way you do that is you walk a guy so far on an island and it unlocks a ship, and then that ship goes so far on the ship path, and then it unlocks a guy on this island, and then
Yeah.
so on and so forth, which I think is really cool. But even in the base game, there's enough. The islands all have directional arrows, and sometimes like you can't get both animals. Like one person would have to go one way to get an animal, and the other person would have to go the other way. But there are other ways to get like. You can research an animal if your guy's on the same island just by doing something else, like a different action. So somebody can snake it from you that way. But on top of that, the Firelands adds in these adventures, the water and the land adventure. And if someone does that adventure and takes the token off the board, then you don't get to do that adventure. And the adventure just gives you more stuff. Like the adventures were very cool. They all mostly cost this new resource called time, which is not in the base game. But basically what time does is you move down this track and there's 3 levels to it. And at the end of the game, you can lose up to like 18 points in the game if you have like...
If you spend too much time.
Yeah. But every level has like a negative. So one level was like to send stuff back, it was going to cost you an extra $1 to send the animals back. One was when you bought a seal, it
No.
cost you an extra
You
$1.
like got less books for doing that. It was brutal.
Oh, less books. And then there was another one. Anyway, basically bad juju depending on where you're at. But you spent time to do it, and you get 1 or 2 actions, and you can pick one or the other one. And one of them always gave you that token, and which isn't so bad. But then there was other ways where you could just go on an adventure, and then you could take any token off the board. And then so at the end of the game, depending on how many tokens you got, you could earn or lose points. And so that just makes racing even more important for the thing. The game really feels, the more and more I play it, it feels more and more like a race to get your boat and guys out there.
Something that was good about that, though, is on the Firelands board, and like less so on the regular board, there's a lot of like you can start up new pathways and new spots for your boat, and like some of the new pathways have other pathways that only unlock certain things that you have to develop those pathways. And like at the beginning of the game, we were all bottlenecked and like all going on the same stuff. But about a round into the game, I started developing different pathways than the rest of you guys, and we all kind of developed different spots. What made it even better, though, because that was, I thought, really good, because then we could prioritize the things we wanted, and it felt way less like I would have to pass by adventures if I was ahead of Rob that he could still take, and tents, Tim didn't, you can only place like 5 tents, so once you're far enough ahead, like there's spaces for you to place your tents. But what was the best about it was they all kind of converge again at the end. And so there was competition again at the end of the game for like some of the best spots. Like I thought I was way ahead on a couple of the tracks, and then Rob usurped me in a couple areas from directions I didn't even realize.
Well, and that's because if you get behind, like on certain islands, and you get behind and you can't get the species because people have already got them, your only choice then is to just jet your boat really far ahead and get guys on the farther islands to try to get those species. So I guess that's another way to go. Like if people are beating you in the land race, you could just try to focus on the water race to then maybe beat them on other islands in that land race. One thing I wish you could do, and maybe you kind of could, and just not pay attention to the time thing. Like, I don't know that I cared for the time part of the Firelands expansion that much, but I kind of liked that different board.
The board was great.
I thought that was neat.
Mm-hmm.
So like, it'd be cool if you could play that side of the board, only just play like the base game, And if you saw the time on there, maybe you could just turn the time into some other resource or something. I don't know. Or it's just like Newton came out with another board. I guarantee you that like they could just come out with more boards
for exploring.
Yeah, just to make the game different.
Yeah. I have a thing I like about it. There's a thing I like about it, but that kind of leads into caveats. So, do we have more pros, or should I start this thread?
I like I have a couple more. I like the objective system in the game. I like how there's the silver and the gold ones. and there's only so many you can take every round. And when you take them, you basically have your own kind of tech tree that you can kind of do, and you can like basically unlock abilities on your board to make you better at certain things. And they also give you points. I really like the objective system in the game, and it's a place you can send a worker if you don't need to spend any money, and it gives you some extra money. And also, I guess I like the way the time or the player order works. Like first player is a resource, so you can go there
Yeah.
and take it, and you get money there too. So
I do have a comment about the objective system. It's really cool, but I have a gripe about it. I think if I owned this game, I would house rule that you can pay money to draw some more objectives, just because the idea that's set up nice is that they want you to kind of like it's a less exciting space, but they don't really refill the objectives every round when you're going to take them. So that kind of the benefit of going there first is that you get to pick from the available objectives that are there. The problem is I've noticed in both times that I've played, sometimes a set of objectives that would be a ludicrous amount of work for the reward will come up. And sometimes all 4 objectives I completed 2 rounds ago. And it just like it feels like you're really at the mercy. That's the only part of the game where it feels like you're really at the mercy of just luck on whether or not you can kind of complete the things. Like when you get them early and you can work towards them, that is perfect. That's the point. But as there becomes less and less actions, you have to try to luck into stuff. But if you've played well, you should have some resources that you can do an expenditure to maybe get something that, I can't make it, but at least I only have to do one thing to complete this versus, I mean, at the end of the game, I really wanted a gold objective, and I had the opportunity to go there first, but they were only 2 objectives. Each objective had 2 conditions, and I met 0 of the 4 conditions, and I got 240 points in this game. I did everything. So I'm not complaining that there's not an avenue to success, but like if there's something you want to do and you just can't do it, that seems weird that you can't pay, like can't give up more to just see some more. But that's how it is. It's not a huge deal. I don't want to. I wouldn't.
I mean, the reason why you can't do it in the base game is there's only enough tiles for the whole game.
Oh.
The reason why there are more tiles in this, because in the Kickstarter, every module has its own amount of tiles, and there's just some extra tiles, and basically I just throw them all in there now.
Well,
and
then
if
that
it's something you
changes
can or
things.
can't do,
If it's a base game thing, then you would eventually learn what the objectives were,
Yeah.
and you'd have to go get the ones you wanted to do when they
Yeah.
were out. So that's fine. I think that's okay.
yeah. And I kind of like I guess we can kind of get into, if we're getting into the pro and con thing, at least I'm not entirely sure what the retail version of this game is going to have as far as modules go.
Is it not out yet?
I don't think so.
Okay.
My guess is it's going to just be the base game, and maybe they'll have some of the modules, but probably not the Firelands Honestly, I have no idea. I probably should have done some research on that beforehand, but I don't know what my whole point of that was going to be.
Well, I have a pro then a con. I think that, and this is my uneducated, only 2 times playing this game opinion, but I think a pro of this game is, even though it's crunchy and filled with a lot of decision points, it does offer some great startup ease, because you start with like a few seals on each of your dudes, and you can look at your objectives and whatever other stuff you might pass out and kind of formulate a plan. I feel like this game really lets you get off to the races and have great turns from the very beginning of the game if you just laser focus on something. Hard stop, left turn, major con. I don't think that's the case for a couple of the actions, and I think that it's one of those things where when I first played this game, I really thought, oh man, it looks great to have way more seals on my dudes. And what is not immediately apparent in fact, it's the opposite. It feels like you want to have all these seals on your guys because they give you these masters to go towards, and you can see that if you get a slightly better action if you get a bunch of seals on. But what you can't tell until you do it is getting seals early in the game, like a ton of them, stops you from advancing anywhere, and is really expensive. So you're immediately putting yourself pretty far behind the game if you spend a lot of your early turns doing that. So
Yeah, I smashed the last game I played, and I did I think pretty well this game too. I scored about the same amount of points without the expansion in the last game. Both times I think I had one worker maxed out, and the other ones had maybe one or two seals. The first time I played, I did not do nearly as well, and I maxed all three of my workers out with seals.
And so,
Well, last time I played, I maxed all three of my guys out, and I scored 280 points.
but did you max them early, or was it
early?
Oh, really? Well,
Yeah.
maybe
Maybe we're wrong.
Maybe I'm standing in my truth, but it's not the truth.
I mean, I think there's a lot of ways to skin this cat, and I think depending on what comes out, the game has so much variability.
Yeah, I guess if
It could completely change game to game because the end game goal objectives, there's a ton of those.
Oh yeah, because in some of those,
Or sorry,
you
the
get
end of round objectives, there's a
in
lot
some
of
those.
those.
You could pull all the ones that give you points for seals.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's true.
Yeah, like I scored 36 points off of the seal one, for instance. Yeah, there's so much variability. I just looked it up. The base retail version of the game is going to just be the base game. None of the extra modules, none of the Fireland stuff. I guess the backside of the board is going to be the 4-player board. So maybe it's a little different than mine. So, and I'll get to why the retail versus Kickstarter may or may not be important to people, I guess, in my final thoughts. But I think I don't know. I'm really having trouble coming up with hard cons for the game.
I got one.
I think it could be most of my stuff could go either way. I think
we're all in the same boat. The game feels almost like it's a round too long, or in general is just a little long. Like
Both.
You scored 280 points. Like I bet it felt like you did just about everything you wanted.
Yeah, I've only felt it's too long in one of the games I've played, and it's the game I ended up doing everything.
Yeah.
So you very well might be able to crack it depending on the setup of the particular game, and I could see where this game could be fine at 4 rounds. I don't know. The AP in this game can be real. The combo wombo action waterfall cascade thing that happens.
I don't even know if it's AP. It's just making sure that you hit all the points of your turn.
Yeah, I mean the length could be a thing, and the game could be tied at 4 rounds, I think, and still be fun. I mean, I can get on board with that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it has to be 4 rounds, but it just feels like maybe 4 rounds is probably a little too short, but 5 rounds feels a little too long. There's been a couple times where I've gotten into it where it's just like I don't have anything I need to do. It's like I guess I can go here and get 5 points. All my guys have walked. My boat is basically to the end. I got 3 things I can choose from. It's is this?
Yeah, it might not feel that way if we didn't play with the animal buddy and
maybe that's true.
And the boat power.
All right, well, let's get into those real quick. So, at least in the Kickstarter edition, so I kind of want to talk to people about whether, they could just go by the retail, or if you really like this kind of thing, should you seek out a Kickstarter version and why you would or wouldn't. I'm in the overall opinion, and I'm not usually this way. I think I want to play this game just base retail probably almost 100% of the time. I did like the Firelands I want to try the Fireland stuff again, but here's all the extra little modules. There's the Darwin worker guy where he's the super worker. He's a 6 purple seal. He's a really tiny super module. The only ways he comes out is if you draft his card, or if there is one of those random action spots where you can go out there and you can gain him. So there's that. To me, that's whatever.
The Esteban worker.
Yeah. There's the animals. The only reason why I like the animals is if I was going to teach this game to either newer gamers or people that have never played before, you can just give them the animals and you don't take them, and that helps balances the game out a little bit.
Yeah, the animals are a great early game
Because
boon.
all they do is they give you something off the bat and they give you a free action to do later. And to experience or like once you know the game, you don't need that. That's just going to juice you up and you're going to hit that wall.
We got
earlier.
juiced too massively.
Yeah.
We got juiced to the max.
So I could do without the animals. The great ships, which I'll give you a special ability, I don't think you need a special ability in this game. It's just something else that's going to make you more powerful.
And they're strong abilities.
Yeah, I don't think you need to be more powerful in this game.
I got 5 extra full regular actions in this game because of my ability. Tim got to do
I did.
writing actions for
Yeah.
free.
Yeah, I did not. I got to send stuff to the museum. I did not send.
Yeah.
I did not take that action the entire game, and I still got 5 things in there.
Yeah, and then Rob had a thing where if he got all of one type of fossil, he got to like open a worker placement spot for free, which is expensive, and you get to take that action when you do it. So
Yeah.
that was a possible 4 times he could take a very strong action.
So then there's the Falmouth Port expansion, which adds another board and gives you like a powerful dude worker that walks around or a powerful ship worker that lets you activate those guys more times. I don't think you need that either because you already are moving those things a ton.
Yeah, I think it would be better. That plus the base game would be better than that plus the Firelands expansion.
Yeah, maybe I should try that with just the base game.
Well, so in the Firelands expansion, the tracks are shorter. So it felt like every time I was like,
That's true.
I want to bust this guy out, but then like I was like, all my guys are at the end of the track. There's no point in paying money to get bonus movement.
So maybe next time I'll try base game plus that. But basically, it just gives you 2 more places to put the objectives, and those don't give you end game points like the other spots for the objectives do. But there's just more things. Then the Fireland expansion is the big boy. Basically, it adds in land adventures, ocean adventures that you're kind of racing for to get extra stuff. Once again, just giving you more stuff, which I don't think you need. But I think the map is really interesting on that side. It also introduces time, which is another way to manage it. And the purple wax seals where you can buy those and they're wild, but they cost you extra time. I think that's then there's the only thing we have not played with is the Pirates expansion. And that one basically is just a way to give you more money, but you can also make people have to spend a bunch of money and be mean to each other, which I don't really need in a Euro game like this. It's silly money. Now, the one thing that I do like from all the expansion content and mini expansion is all the extra tiles for all the extra things. A lot of them you can use in the base game, even if you're not playing with the mini expansion. So there's also the scenarios that even though they take a little bit of time to set up, you can take a scenario and you can go like they like if you want to play this type of game, use all of these tiles. So I think that's kind of cool. If you want to tailor your experience to a certain thing, you can do that. But for me, with the expansion, I'm probably gonna play base game only. Maybe try the Falmouth port with just the base game, but mix all the variability up because there's a lot of extra tiles in there. I like having all the extra tiles and things. And then if you hit one you can't use, you just skip it and you keep going. So anyway, that's the difference between it, and then slightly cooler components, and the map, the
Firelands expansion, the other side of the map.
No, I'm talking about the map, in the scroll case.
The mats.
Yeah,
the playmat.
the play mats.
Yeah.
Which are kind of neat as well. So that's the differences. But like I said, I guess we'll feel this out more in the final thoughts, but I think the retail might be where it's at.
Yeah, and I don't know what the price difference is, especially trying to find a Kickstarter now.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely. I don't think I would seek it out or pay like secondary market prices for it.
I think the base game is good enough. I wish the exploration, the journeys, the adventures or whatever, those are super fun. I wish there was a way that there was base game adventures. I think those are quite interesting. I thought they were
but
really
once
cool.
again, they just give you more
They just
stuff.
get more stuff. Yeah, for sure.
So I think like this game doesn't need a way to give you more stuff. I think it's tighter. I think the base game just might be the tightest.
So our 2 plays, I mean, we played 4-player. It was like 2.5 hours, 4-player base game, which was pretty long. There was a couple people learning that. This game was 3-player. Firelands expansion was 2.5 hours.
Yep.
we played it 2-player in 90 minutes.
Yeah, I think
Learning-
we could play it if we played the base game again, we could play it in 60 minutes.
Yeah. The 2-player or 3-player?
2-player.
2-player, yeah. 3-player, I think we get 90
I
minutes.
think it's 30 minutes per player when people know the game,
Base game.
probably. Yep.
Yeah. Where Firelands, I think it's probably 45 minutes.
Potentially, there's
Yeah.
way more map stuff going on.
And if your group struggles with taking fast turns or like taking turns over each other where they don't matter,
Yep.
you could certainly extend that game to 3.5
There are
hours.
very few. This is a con. There are very few turns where you can take turns over each other because they don't matter. Because you can touch every part of the board in a single turn. A single turn that doesn't seem like it's going to be doing anything. Like there were so many times that I was like, okay, well, Rob's going to seals, so like I'm going to go to explore, but like I should wait just to make sure he doesn't go like walk his dude the same place, and he'd be like, okay, I take a seal and I place it here, which lets me do this, and then lets me do that, and then I'm going to walk this guy here, and I'm like, okay, I'm changing my thing.
It's very true.
I think like I'm thinking about if we stripped animals, ships, the Fire Island stuff, like everything out. I think there's probably still just a little bit too much going on in this one, but I think it would be way better because like the exploration game that I love.
What do you mean by too much going on? Like
Not
you
too
accomplished too
complicated. Yeah, I just think you get too much done,
okay.
and that's probably my main problem. Like, I think Marco Polo 2 is way more fun than Marco Polo 1, but ultimately, like, I feel like I crush that game every time I play it because I can just do everything because it's like too easy to move around. Like, that's honestly like what makes Marco Polo 1 and Newton and games like that, like with exploration stuff and like multiple facets of the game good, is that you have to be intentional with everything you do because you're gonna not have enough money, you're gonna not have enough goods, you have to choose where they go, you get a limited amount of combo wombo, and like being able to combo wombo stuff and wobble stuff around in a smart way that has an end point is awesome. But when you take a turn that lets you like just keep doing things, why am I not just playing base Dominion and buying 10 villages and 4 smithies or whatever and a city or whatever those cards do, and then I'm like action, draw, duchy, province.
Can I counterspell this conversation?
I'm not saying I dislike it. I'm just saying that like that's what brings it down for me a little.
Yeah. No, and I have a counterpoint to that, which is also a con, I guess, and it's the fact that, and I don't want to say this in a bad way, I guess, but not everyone is like you, Campbell, as far as being able to do everything. Like not everyone plays as many games as we do.
Mm-hmm.
I've played lots of games. Like I don't think I can crush out Marco Polo 2 as hard as you can. I'm going to guess a lot of people playing this game for their 5 or 6, 7 times, they wouldn't be able to do everything either unless maybe it all lined up. I don't think that's a problem for a lot of people. I think a lot of people would be able to do a normal amount of things in these games. Now, the con is it's possible to do that, which means that the skill gap in the game could be a huge difference, and you can just get housed by 100 points. And that could be
I
a
played
big
2
thing.
games and people got housed by 100 points in both games. Because you got beat by 100 points tonight. I got beat by 100 points
Yeah.
last time we played.
Well, that's what I'm saying. There's the skill cap in this game is high, I think, or it's variable as far as.
But I think it's more realistic if you take out all that extra stuff, and
Right.
I think I want to play that way.
Yeah.
I think my opinion of the game is going way up if I do.
There's a big snowball too. Like it feels like you can get moving down the hill,
Yep.
and it's hard to catch sometimes if you don't get your snowball going.
Yeah.
You can feel very much behind it. I think that's why you end up with the big
Right.
Yeah,
discrepancies.
I felt
Yeah.
like that tonight for sure.
And so many games, like this is weird to me, but so many games, like you'd be like, oh man, we're done with the first round already. We're done with the second round already. And then like the 4th and 5th rounds of the game are just like so long. This is like the exact opposite, where you get like a zillion things done in the first few rounds of this game, and then in the last few rounds of the game, you're like, well, now I just need to take objectives and take these really short actions.
Rounds 2 and 3 were the longest probably for us.
Yeah.
This round. Yeah.
Like round 3, when we got to the end of round 3, I was like, that was the end of round 3.
And then
Yeah.
Then
round
rounds
4
4 and 5 were like the length of round 3.
Yeah, I think it's all due to the extra stuff, to
Yeah.
be honest. I think it might sound stupid, but starting with like an extra $3 and one extra like bonus action thing you get to do, and you just do that right at the beginning of the game, that's probably huge. It opens up so many more possibilities for you to do stuff early in the game. And then if you hit your little ship ability and get to do
Because of my extra $3 in the first round of the game, I was able to get an extra seal. I was able to put a ring down, and I was able to take abilities with getting all 4 letters gone.
it just snowballs.
So, which I think I maybe would have been able to do one of those things instead of all 3 of those things.
All right, does anybody else have anything before we hit final thoughts?
I like the Beagle. I like that it's the Beagle. A good name for a boat.
Yeah,
I like Esteban.
yeah.
We didn't even talk about Esteban.
I do like that you're like chasing, like the Beagle is the round marker and you're kind of chasing him. We didn't mention this. If you fall too far behind him, you just lose points for the end game scoring objectives that you're doing every round.
It's barragey. It's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you want to try to keep up with that.
It's like Barrage.
Except for
combined
your
with-
ship doesn't reset.
There's a lot of cool concepts from Mangione and Luciani games. There's stuff from Audubon. There's stuff from
Teotihuacan.
there's a ton of stuff from Newton. Teotihuacan did not have either of those designers on it. So
Teotihuacan.
Yep. Did have Luciani. Yeah, there's stuff from that. There's some stuff from Lorenzo. There's stuff from Grand Austria Hotel, which I think affects my overall opinion on the game when we get to final thoughts. So should we just go to final thoughts?
Do it.
Yeah.
So I'll just start.
Do you want to give us the rundown of final thoughts, Rob?
Yes. All right, let's hit final thoughts. Here on the Board Boys podcast, we have a 3 Boeing rating scale, 0 being the worst, 3 being the best. Half Boeings are allowed. One time only you can give a game 4 Boeings. Just go out there and Google Ain't No Stopping Us Now by Steve Walsh and listen to that. You'll understand what the Boeing scale means. Anyway, Campbell, why don't you give us a 0 Boeing and a 3 Boeing definition of Darwin's journey, and please include Esteban.
Yeah, okay. 0 Boeings. Esteban comes on deck, and you haven't washed your hair yet this morning,
Oh no.
and he sees. And your dress looks gross. Like if there's wind and the hair's like in your face, and like the flap on your dress goes up, and like it gets like in like kind of like covers, like you know how like you have those flappy like flaps on the dress, and like it like I don't know, you just look stupid.
Oh, and you also don't see any new animals.
I don't care about that. 3 Boeings. Esteban is playing Spanish guitar on the beach, and you're there in an armchair or like a beach chair by him, and that big like super fat Hawaiian dude who played the ukulele and died in like the 90s comes and he sings Over the Rainbow like in a Hawaiian way, and you drink some pina coladas with Esteban
While you ship back all the animals.
while you ship back all the animals.
Perfect. Thanks for tying into the actual theme of the game, Campbell.
Esteban was on one of the crew, you know.
Why don't you start? All I can think of is Fabio.
Do you guys remember the Esteban, the guy who does the guitars? Esteban, like the
Classical
infomercial guitars.
Yeah.
Esteban.
All right, Cam, give us your final thoughts.
Darwin's journey has taken a lot of the ideas of other games by these 2 designers and done things that are really fun with them, but I ultimately don't think the game quite hits the interesting and replayable heights of the others. When I mentioned Grand Austria Hotel, when I mentioned Newton, when I mentioned Barrage, like all of those games seem like better realized packages with way less fluff. And so for a Euro game, if I'd never played any of those other ones, I'd give it a higher score. But since I have access to these other concepts that are really similar by the same people that I like better. I think this game gets a 2 for me.
All right, right on. So for me, I'm gonna say I think almost direct opposite of you. It feels like all of those things kind of where they maybe didn't quite hit in any of those other games for me. Besides Barrage, Barrage is on its own. Like that game rules, right?
Barrage is so good.
Yeah, it's way better. Than
But you're saying Grand Austria Hotel and Newton don't?
Definitely Newton. Grand Austria Hotel is very hit and miss.
You're gonna make me fall out of my chair.
Yeah. For me, it's either I am doing terribly at Grand Austria Hotel or everything kind of lines up, which is fine. I feel like this one kind of brings them all together into a nice package. I don't know that I love the Firelands expansion. I really like the base game and how tight the worker placement is.
My mind maybe changes just playing the base game.
Yeah.
I maybe go 3 because like I think about being able to accomplish less and having to make more difficult choices, which is I think ultimately what makes a Euro game fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah.
So I think base game's a 3. Any of the modules is a 2.5 for me. So I think I'm gonna give it a 2.5, and I want to revisit just base game without any modules again.
Yeah, I've played it 4 times now at all the player counts. I guess I didn't talk about it, but I'd like to try the solo mode. It looks pretty tight and fairly easy to do. It's just a deck of cards, which I guess is slightly harder than Newton because Newton you literally just play the game and get a score. But Darwin's Journey for me, I didn't mention this in the cons, I guess, but there's a lot of setup in this too, especially trying to dink and dunk all the modules. I think for me, like if it with like the modules is like a 1.5, like almost any of them. I don't know. I'm not digging them at all. I highly recommend the base game. I think I'm just going to give it a 2 for now.
Oh, Tim was right. I thought you were going to go higher.
It's an 8 for me on BGG, so it's between a 2 and a 2.5. I want to play more base game and see like how fast I can set it up and get it played and kind of filter my thoughts out on all the other stuff. I'm not even sure I want to play with the Falmouth expansion. Like I just think, and the base game is just so much easier. I just think there's just too much extra fluff. Go buy the retail game when it comes out. 2.5.
Oh, you're giving it a 2.5.
I am. I think so. I think I talked myself into it. I think it's just as good as Newton.
Yeah. I agree with
And
that.
like Grand Austria Hotel for me.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure why I'm comparing it to Grand Austria Hotel. They're
Yeah, I don't-
nothing
yeah,
like the same game,
yeah.
besides a designer. But
So I was gonna say, had you not changed it, that would be the first game where I was the lone raider, the highest.
oh really?
Yeah. Otherwise, I'm always either like a little bit lower or about the same as everybody
Yeah.
else.
I mean, I'm like 2.25,
Yeah.
but
See, I'm like
that-
2.75.
but that's like a cheater.
Yeah.
Cheater on this, so you can still call yourself the highest one on this one.
All right, right on. So, hey, real quick. Top 5 Luciani games.
Oh, okay. This should be easy. Number 1, Grand Austria Hotel. Number 2,
I already have beef with this.
Barrage. Number 3.
Barrage is in your top 5 games, bro.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it is. And GAH isn't. And you know what? Like, as I'm saying this, I love GAH like an undue amount, and I love Barrage. I think like more objectively. So let's switch those.
Okay.
Barrage, Grand Austria Hotel. Like I might like playing Grand Austria Hotel more, but I think Barrage is a better game. So thank you for speaking truth to power on that one, or whatever. I just thought that phrase was funny. Thank you for slapping me upside the head.
I think your truth is correct on that one. I mean, if it's when you have more fun playing, then you should rate it higher.
Well, but like, do I have more fun? Like, I'm thinking about like the
No.
choices in Barrage and like the way the
You have
game
so
makes
much
me
fun playing
feel
Barrage,
versus
yeah.
like, but like great like.
I've been in the chat with you when we're playing Barrage.
And like I get blood red mad, which means
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah,
Yeah.
so you're right. So Barrage, Grand Austria Hotel, Zolkin is number 3. It's getting more difficult now because I like all of his other games. Newton is number 4. Maybe switch those around. Let's say tied for 3.5. And then I would say number 5 would be there's so many good Luciani games, but number 5 is Ooh, I'm gonna probably regret what I say here after I think about it.
It's definitely Marco Polo.
Oh my gosh, Marco Polo 2. Even though I think one hits on the tempo better. I think Marco 2 is a better experience. So there's my 5.
No Lorenzo.
I love Lorenzo. I want to say Lorenzo, but I like Marco 2 more.
Okay, Rob, what about you?
For me, I'd say Grand Austria Hotel. No, sorry, Zolkin, Grand Austria Hotel, Barrage, Golem, and
Golem is a good pick.
probably the OG Marco Polo. I just really like that one. I mean, I like Marco Polo too, but I'll give a nod to the original. And upcoming, I have backed on Kickstarter the Anunnaki Dawn of the Gods,
Okay.
which is like an area control game by him. So
Tim, let's hear yours.
just wait.
All right, I'm gonna go Barrage. I think I'm gonna pop in. I think I'm gonna say Golem, Barrage, Golem, Darwin's Journey, Telutum, Grand Austria Hotel. Boom, done.
Can we all agree that Simone Luciani is a Mount Rushmore designer though? He's so awesome.
Yeah, man, I
Yeah.
love all
Like
his
even
games.
Council of 4 is sick.
I really like Council of Four for all the hate it got in our group. So
I don't think I hated it. I just don't like it as much as the other ones.
yeah,
I own it.
It's like it's the simplest one.
Yeah, and it's fun. I think my gripe with Council of 4 is that like it just the what's in the box is unnecessary. Like those gigantic pieces.
Well, the original one was not that fancy. It's because Simon reprinted it.
And like I just feel like they had pieces that they were making a different game with, and they were like, "Well, we have these." You know what I'm saying?
But they're cool.
They are cool, but they make no sense.
Well, go get the derpy European before Simon version one
Yeah, I
then.
probably should.
So I will say Telutum. I've played more since our review, and I like it more every time I play it.
Tum.
Just give me more time so I can play more games.
Yeah.
Wow, Simone Luciani has a bunch of really low-rated like casual games that I've never even heard of that are like, whoa. He has a game that has a current rating of 9.1 that's coming out this year. You guys ever play? Do you guys know about Sea Dragons?
Nope.
Protect the island from the pirates and gain control over the seas. Ages 8+. He's in on it, but it's the main designers are Yaniv Khanna and Pini Schechter.
Oh, Peony Schechter, huh?
Mm-hmm. Looks neat. Maybe that's just like Luciani gave him a cool idea when they were playing on Tabletop Simulator, and he's like, "Get me on the credits, bro." Kind of like I'm gonna do with an upcoming game.
Love it.
Hey, just so you guys all know, I'm not gonna say who, but I'm on a nickname basis with a famous board game designer now.
Love it. Love it.
He calls me Cam, and I call him Alex. So thank you, Ryan, for setting us up with that.
Yeah, that game is so good. It's really good. I can't wait for it to come out. Cool. All right, so that'll wrap it up for Darwin's Journey. We like to do something here on the podcast called a bumper dump. Cam, hit us with that theme song.
Baby, turn around. I wanna see that sexy board game go board boys bump.
Or dumb.
I did that really loud.
All right. So we look back 1 year in the past to the game that we were playing then. So and then check to see if it's gone up in the ratings or down in the ratings. We looked at and reviewed Perseverance by Mind Clash. It's a Mind Clash game, right?
Oh no,
Yeah.
I didn't get that replayed.
Yeah. That game,
I forgot.
the first one was cool. The second one I thought was pretty meh.
Perseverance might be the coolest game that I kind of hate.
Yeah.
Like it's so awesome, but like it's so Mind Clash and
Yeah, it's very Mind Clash.
like it's awesome and it's also just kind of awful in the way that like there's always just like this silly little things happening in it, and it's like just impossible to control anything, and like hopefully you get to do an attack with your dudes but like the way people play stuff and the way like the choices you get to make just mean that like maybe you like your guy shoots at a dinosaur that isn't there, and like
Yeah, it's by far my least favorite Mind Clash game.
it's fun though. Like everybody give it a try. Like it's such a cool idea.
What did I give it?
2. Yeah.
Yeah,
We'll give it 2s.
Yeah, and I think I liked the idea of 2 more than 1. I think it was a little more a little more going on, and I like the tech tree for the guys. And I guess this is kind of, I'm curious what they're gonna do because they're coming out with episodes 3 and 4 upcoming, because it originally was gonna be like 4 total games. So there's 2 more games of it coming. I don't know if I liked the first 2 enough to dig the next 2, but the collector in me probably says yes.
Yeah.
I would like to just see what the characters look like in their 3rd and 4th iterations.
There you go.
So it went down in the ratings from 7.9 to ratings. I don't know, ranking that whatever 7.9
Yeah.
to 7.8.
There is one
Bump
thing.
or dump.
It had to have bumped.
Yeah, it's got a bump.
We did it so early.
Really quick, one thing that Perseverance does way better than Anachrony and Trickerion is the character portrait art.
Yeah.
The first editions of Trickerion and Anachrony, the characters look so dopey, which is kind of awesome.
That's like Cam's one of his biggest shticks, is he hates that art.
Yeah.
Like, it's so bad. I mean, and I'm not wrong because they redid both of those arts.
Yeah.
It's true.
So it was a bump. It's went from 1846 to 1402. If you would like to, chime in on the bumper dump, you can do so at our Board Game Geek Guild. You can find that through our website. We did not have any comments on this one, so
Oh, big surprise.
hit us up.
Yeah, it was not.
Very niche game.
Yeah, very, very niche.
Niche.
All right, well, that wraps up another episode of the Board Boys podcast. Go check out our website at theboardboys.com. From there, you can see all our social media links. Go give us a like on Facebook and Instagram. I'd appreciate it. I do a lot of hard work on there. Also, any 5-star iTunes reviews, also much appreciated. We have a Discord. Come chat with us on there. And Patreon. We're going to be doing a bonus episode coming up, and my plan is to give that to Patreon members first. So that's going to be a little test on our part. We'll see how it goes. It's going to be at a brewery for an event coming up from the Dealt Hand, and I think we talked about it on the podcast previously, but we are going to be doing our top five games you can play in a bar or coffee shop. And we're going to have a special Board Boy guest on that, and you'll have to wait to find out who that is.
And it's not me. I'm not going to be able to make this. I'm going to be out of town. So here's mine. 1, Can't Stop. 2, Can't Stop. 3, Can't Stop. No, just kidding. The number 1 is actually Time's Up, and that's all you need to know. Time's Up is the very best party game of all time. Bar game, coffee shop game. Oh, I guess not coffee shop. Bar game, Can't Stop. Coffee shop game.
Can't quit giving out content.
Well, I'm not going to be there,
You can give yours later.
Well, just go play Time's Up.
Yeah, just splice this into the end of the other one.
That's true. And speaking of our patrons, I'd like to give them a shout out. Hammond Buckland, BJ from Board Game Gumbo, Shifty Teeth, David Dugas, Andre Bosch, Jeremy Toman, Braden Dowdy, Rob Cooper, Richard Lane, and Board Game Bastard. Thank you very much for your patronage and coming out and talking to us on the Discord. Lots and lots of fun there. I think we have one spot left in a little fantasy football dynasty league. If anybody wants in on that, talk to good old David Dugas. I've never done one of those before, so it should be fun. Also, I'd like to do just a Board Boys normal fantasy football league if I can talk anybody into it. I'd like to see Campbell's football acumen come into play.
I'm so awesome at football.
All right, everybody.
I'm so awesome at football, they call me fantasy football.
Until next time, we hope you like board games.
Well, it's not far down to paradise. At least it's not for me. If the wind is right, you can sail away and find tranquility. Oh, the canvas can do miracles. Just you wait and see. Believe me. It's not far to Never Land. Reason to pretend. And if the wind is right, you can find the joy of innocence again. Oh, the canvas can